Good afternoon, Sean here from Mountains Garage. I've missed a few opportunities in the last week and a half to shoot some videos. It's been kind of crazy with the shelter in place and homeschooling. I homeschool in the morning, I work out here in the afternoon in the shop. Just rolling with it, nothing you can do about it. Days go by. So today, I want to talk about transmission holding fixtures and random shop stuff in general. I'll eventually get some more in-depth projects, but this seemed like a good thing to do today. I'll show you why. At any given time, I have several transmissions tore apart, either taking them apart or going back together. And this really expensive Turbo 400 I just finished, almost, is being held up by the worst transmission holding fixture I have. I don't even know where I got it. It's made out of random scrap. It's never failed. I should replace it. I mean, it is, well, it's not good. This is supposed to be the fabrication bench. I love it. I built it when I built the shop. It's pretty much flat and super rugged, made out of 5/8 plate. And I got trailer hitches welded all over it, receivers. And I have 9-inch Ford holders and pretty much every tool that I don't want to take up bench space. I can remove it and throw it out of the way. I got all kinds of stuff hooked to it. I'm sure you'll see it in videos. Got vices and whatnot. But they can have 2 or 3 transmissions going on this bench. It's hard to keep the parts separated sometimes, but I get by. I recently added up the total bench space I have in footage. I have 49 feet of bench. And I've had to resort to 2 or 3 of these plastic tables. They're all just horizontal storage devices at this point because I need more space. But I'll get by again. Day by day, it all changes. It's a crime I can't really show off the beauty of this particular bench. I can't take credit for building it. I paid a lot of money for it from a friend of mine who was building a giant 3-story barn and was going to have the ultimate auto shop. And things went south and he had to sell out, and I paid him his price. I know he had a lot of money into it, and I know it's got 7 or 8 layers of Imron paint. I mean, this thing is a shame to even use it. But I kept it separated for a long time and pretty much just stored stuff on it. Now it's become another transmission bench and another catch-all. This transmission holder here, I built a few summers ago because the 4L80 needs a higher hump around here to clear the case. And again, I put another trailer hitch up on the bench, showing off my cool TIG welding. And it's pretty handy. I got all my fixtures fit over here too if I'm doing stuff here. But this Turbo 400 I'm building for myself. When I get time, I just I've been finally sold enough stuff the other day to buy the trans-brake valve body. That's all I was left to finish it up. I had a couple others that I sold already that I built for myself. I only really need one, but they're like money in the bank. I'm buying as many Turbo 400 cores as I can find. They're getting hard to find, but, well, hard to find inexpensively. I don't want to spend too much for them. But always buying if you know anybody that has any. Another great feature of this bench is there's nowhere you can drill on it where you don't hit at least 2 layers of steel. It's got a 3/16 top that's all bent up and multiple layers of steel underneath, angle iron. So I had a 57 Tri-5 Chevy rear end to build this week, and I really needed this holder. I finished the rear end about 2 hours ago, and this holder showed up an hour ago. That's the way it works, but I'll have it for next time. I already learned with this rig here that if you leave these bolts loose and you try to move it around, you probably pinch your finger. But it should work out. I come across a lot like you want to rebuild a 4-speed transmission and whatnot. That style won't work, so you need one of these. I've always wanted one, and finally I bought one just the other day. It was an eBay purchase. Originally I was looking for another fixture. I was going to build one, but you end up wasting the whole day and digging around for stuff, and I was feeling lazy, I guess. I've wanted a nice professional one for a long time. I don't know where these are made. I found it on eBay, but they're very well made. These were with shipping and tax, $230 for both pieces. If you shop around, I bought that without the holder because I don't need two holders. Or I'll build a second one if I need one. And this is got a pin to stop it in different positions, where the ones I build are infinite. But I don't know if that's a drawback or not. At least this style will lock in place. And what I like about using this bench is it's in my big bay that has the engine crane, and I find, I hate to admit it, but Turbo 400s are getting heavier. Well, they're not getting heavier. I guess I'm just tired of picking them up. I used to put them in the vehicle by hand, roll underneath on a creeper and bench press it into place, but I'm sure I could still do it. But you know, as I get tossing stuff around, I guess I'm supposed to be working smarter, not harder. So again, this bay is also an embarrassment. It's supposed to be a lift bay. Everything's on wheels here. I mean, I can scramble and get stuff out of the way if I need to get something in 10 minutes, but yeah, too many projects going on. It's springtime. Everybody wants something done, and a lot of this stuff is mine too, so I'm just as much at fault. I'm not a product spokesman, and nor will I even say the brand. I don't even remember the brand. All I can tell you is I found it on eBay, but this thing is heavy and excellent quality, which is pretty rare. Sometimes you buy stuff and it's a cheaply made foreign piece of junk, and you're really disappointed you spent any money on it. This wasn't the case. This thing is nice. And I like this. Is how it lays perfectly flat here, all pinned in. And let me flip it around the other way. In a happy accident, when I chose my spot where I could hit all 4 bolts, because again, there's a lot of structure underneath, and I wanted to hit at least 2 layers of steel. I've never had one of these at the corner of the case, if it hasn't been cut off, kind of locks, it sits on the bench right there. So that it gives me a lot to lock my pin in, plus it's not going anywhere, it's kind of secure. Because sometimes they'll sit here all nice and pretty. This one's not pretty yet, but when they're all done, waiting for somebody to pick them up, and now I can wheel my cart right underneath and drag it out on there, and I'll use the engine crane, and well, I'm not going to say I'm getting old, but maybe I'm getting smarter. While I'm critiquing transmission tools, I didn't know that's what I was going to do today, but this is a drum spring compressor for taking the drums apart, automatic transmission drums. There's a ring with a bunch of springs underneath. You need to compress it to take the snap ring out, if you're not familiar with it. This rig here, you can adjust the height. I just put it right in the vise. It was relatively inexpensive, again on eBay, and that's a good piece. This thing here is kind of a piece of junk, but there is some situations where I turn it around backwards and it works pretty slick. So it doesn't get a lot of use, but I almost converted it to one of these, which would have been easier probably than buying another one. But sometimes you need it tomorrow and you don't want to spend half a day. I love fabbing stuff, but I don't know. This rig here is just for 700 R4s, 4L60s, and TH350s to get the rip piston out of the case. It works good. I recently bought all the Kentmore J tools online for Turbo 400. Boy, does that make putting the pistons back in the forward and direct. And I also have it for the center sport. I mean, it is. I've always dreamed of having the right tools, and now with I got to believe there was places that rebuilt Humvees, which all have Turbo 400s, and now all this stuff's becoming available because they don't service the Humvees anymore. And there's a lot of these tools in the market, and the stuff was cheap and so much fun to put together when you had the right tools. I've done it the hard way for 35 plus years, and now you can push them in seconds. Just rewatching some of the footage I've already shot, and it sounds like I buy a lot of tools. I don't. In fact, it's kind of, I think I'm celebrating the fact that I bought some, but usually I'm taking old tools and making new tools out of them. Like this is really handy for pinion seals and just about every front and rear seal on a transmission. This handle unscrews, and I once got a box of old 70s Toyota tools. That's what these are. I make them into everything. You never know what, I mean, just solid steel. I don't know where the steel came from in the 70s. Maybe they use good stuff. I don't know, but the machine's okay. Pretty hard. And I make drivers for you name it. I mean, I got boxes of stuff I've made. I should mark them because sometimes I forget what they do. But when you need to change a bushing, you know, the back half of a transmission's all full of tiny bushings, and you really need a driver for every one. So you get them together without wrecking them. So I just make them on the lathe. This obviously not a transmission tool. but a transmission part. I just like the packaging because you look at it just right, it looks like the bolts are just hanging in midair and they'd fall out, but they're actually shrunk wrapped right there. This is the cheapest one I could find online because I go buy a core transmission, I rebuild it, and I use all the pieces. And one day I had to steal a tail housing, and that puts you behind every time you stealing one off the next one. And what used to be, $50, $75 would buy you a core. Now $50 or $75 if you're lucky, get you a tail housing. And that's just the way it is. But what are you gonna do? A few years ago, when I went into business, I decided to take some money and buy a bunch of parts and fix them up, when I wasn't working on other stuff, and sell them. Only flaw to that plan is I fall in love with every one of them. This is a core I bought a couple weeks ago when I was searching the countryside one day looking for Turbo 400s with a buddy of mine. And I fell in love with it, and I can't get rid of it, so it'll be another one I'll clean up, keep for myself, and then I'll, on a random day, decide to sell it probably, who knows. But the plan is to keep it. Same with the Power Glide. That's got a brake. Turbo input spline. I've had it for a year or so now. I kind of like it. I'll put it in something. Like the 9H Ford, that's for a future project. I was in a 9H Ford mode. I fixed it all up. Made the housing pretty. The housing had brackets cut off, so I had to TIG weld in all the tubes and grind them down so it looks nice. And put a brand new 350 gid center section with the Detroit locker. It's got aftermarket axles and brand new brakes. It wasn't that old anyway, so. It's a perfect width for a street rod. That's probably what it'll go in. I bought this one for parts also. This is out of a motorhome. And it should have straight cut planetary gears in the back, which will be noisy but stronger. And I'm going to put them in the black Turbo 400 I showed you a few minutes ago. And use that gear set in something else. Why not? If you're going to build something, you might as well build it with all the best parts you can. Within reason, you could spend $5-6 grand on a Turbo 400 if you want to buy all aftermarket stuff. And it's, probably not necessary for the power level I'm going to have. So I'll be happy with a set of straight cuts and listen to that cool whine. Also, while shooting this video and doing some more tail housing math, that tail housing is not going to work. The shaft, I think, is the right length as a standard 4.5-inch Turbo 400. But that tail housing is not going to work. And guess what? Now I need another tail housing. Oh well. All right. Well, that was pretty random. Talked about some stuff. I've actually been asked to go around, piece of equipment, one by one and talk about them. Sounds like fun, really. Follow along if you'd like. In the future, I'm going to keep shooting videos. I'd like to get some more subscribers. So if your grandmother likes watching these videos, hook her up. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you, bye.